Hey Hub students, Pastor Greg here. I am so excited to get to hang out with you via video in 3 locations, Jersey Village, Memorial, and the Hub. So this is great. On Sunday mornings, I get to be in a lot of locations as well with all of our campuses, but this is great to be with you in all these locations. So I want you to just sit back, relax, get ready for what we're going to talk about. I've got a great word for you, and then you're going to discuss it together. Have a lot of fun, eat some great snacks, I'm sure, hang out, do whatever you do at your place, which would be a great time. First of all, I want you to know, besides just welcoming you, I want you to know how important it is with what you're doing. 7-7 is crucial, absolutely crucial to your Christian walk, to the fellowship that you have, to building into the Hub ministry of all that God can do in you and through you. We really want to see you reach out to your schools. And to reach out to your schools, God's got to do something in you before He can do something through you. So if you're a guest and you have no clue who I am, awesome. So glad. Hope you'll show up at church and find out. But to be able to come and be a part of it, it's so important. And I'll tell you why I say that. I became a Christian when I was 16 years old, and somebody invited me to come to Christ, obviously, but they also invited me to come to their church. And I started coming on Wednesday nights at just a neighborhood little church, and we would be on the 2nd floor of this church in one of the Sunday school rooms. It was our youth room, which means they put posters on the wall instead of pictures or whatever. But that's where it was, and it was awesome. I could still remember some of the messages, and it was just incredible. So be encouraged that God is using these times. And I know you take away from your studies, from your activities. Some of you just finished some athletic things or band or drama or dance or whatever you're into, and you've raced over to your location to be there. And I just want you to know how important it is. It's really, really important. So let's jump into the Word. I'm going to tell you what we're talking about. We're talking about waiting. You know, you're going to wait on stuff your whole life. Do you remember when you had to wait to get your bike with training wheels off it? Then you had to wait maybe to stay alone by yourself while your parents went to do something, your mom or your dad. Then you had to wait to get into high school, wait to get your driver's license. Some of you are doing that. Some of y'all remember that. Waiting to go to college. Life is filled with waiting. So you might as well learn it now on how to wait, because you're going to be waiting a long, long time in a lot of ways. So we want to learn that and understand that. I know that you wait for class to end and school to end. I can remember looking at the clock, and I had it down to when the bell was going to go off exactly to go to that next class. So let's learn how to wait. That's what James is going to tell us. And it's found in James chapter 5, verse 7 through 11. I'm going to read it, and you can listen along, or you can turn in your Bibles if you want to James chapter 5, verse 7 through 11. This is what it says. Therefore, brothers and sisters, be patient until the Lord's coming. See how the farmer waits for the precious fruit of the earth and is patient until it receives the early rains and the late rains. We're going to talk about that in just a second. You must also be patient. Strengthen your hearts, because the Lord's coming is near. Brothers and sisters, do not complain about one another, so that you will not be judged. Look, the judge stands at the door. Brothers and sisters, take the prophets who spoke in the Lord's name as an example of suffering and patience. See, we count as blessed those who have endured. You have heard of Job's endurance and have seen the outcome that the Lord has brought about. The Lord is compassionate and merciful. So he's talking here about the waiting on the coming of the Lord, that Jesus Christ will return, second coming of Christ. It's amazing, crazy stuff, but the sky's going to split open. Jesus is going to come back, and it's going to be an amazing thing. But not only waiting on that, but learning to wait here on the things that are going on. So he says, look, I want to draw to your attention the farmer. Okay, plants a seed, and he waits, and then later on, it grows out of the ground and it comes up. So waiting's hard, but waiting is wise. That's what you want to hear. Waiting is hard, but waiting is wise. So here's what I want you to do. A little uncomfortable maybe. I want all of y'all to say with me, waiting is wise, on the count of 3. Ready? We're going to say waiting is wise on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Waiting is wise. Waiting really is a place of wisdom. So these farmers, they plant. We live in the city, so we don't know this. And then the rains come. It says the spring rains or the early rains, and then, or the autumn rains are the first ones. And then the latter rains or the spring rains come. Now, let me tell you a couple things. The early rains, they happen in kind of November, October, December, and they are 3 days in length, and they happen as a huge rainstorm in nighttime. So everything's dark, the rains are coming like crazy, and the seed's just been planted. And they feel like this is going to wash away the seed, this is going to mess everything up. Then they wait, and then the next rains come, and they're the latter rains or the spring rains, and they're a little bit lighter, and they happen at harvest. And that's actually a blessing, it tells us in the Old Testament, when rain happens at harvest. Now here's the point I want you to get. Sometimes something's happened in your life, and the rains come, a trial comes, and you want to quit. I don't want to wait until I don't want to wait anymore. I want to be on varsity today. I don't want to wait anymore. I want to be first chair today. I don't want to wait anymore in my purity. I want a girlfriend today. Instead, trust God that even in the trials, the rains can come and you can be in the right place even though you're waiting. Now, you're going to do a crazy, kind of wacky little thing in a bit, talking about a banana, but here's what I want you to know, because it's coming up. I won't steal the thunder on that. But here's what I want you to know. Waiting brings ripeness. Waiting brings ripeness. You want your relationships to be ripe to be able to go to a really deep level. You want to be ripe in your maturity before you take on something that maybe has a lot of responsibility. So waiting brings ripeness. Now, that's the early and spring rains. Then in the next verse, in verse 9, it says, don't judge one another. Don't get jealous for one another. And sometimes we can be upset somebody else got something, we want it. And we judge them and get upset with them. Have you ever looked at it like somebody got a car, somebody's dating somebody, man, they always make good grades, they always go on cool trips, and I want that. And we end up judging and getting upset with each other, and it can bring tension in our relationships. That's verse 10. Then verse 11 and 12, verse 11, he talks about, look at the prophets, all they endured. And when you think you've had a hard day, just think about it like this. Moses had to go through the wilderness for 40 years with complaining people. Daniel was thrown into the lion's den, right? I mean, all sorts of things happen in these prophets' lives. And you just had a bad day, and you didn't have cell phone service or didn't have Wi-Fi wherever you were. But letting that be something that even cultivates, it says, remember Job, and it was worth the wait. So I want you to know this, waiting is wise. Wait through the trials, even when it's tough, and realize that God's ripening something in you as you wait. And then finally, I want you to know, hang in there. It's worth the wait. It's worth the wait. To wait in your purity, it's worth the wait. To wait and don't cheat on a test, it's worth the wait. All these things. Choose the long term over the short term. Let me say that again. Choose the long term over the short term. Okay, we're going to say waiting is wise one more time together. Then I'm going to wrap this thing up. On the count of three, waiting is wise. 1, 2, 3. Waiting is wise. All right, that's so true. So wait, trust on the waiting of the Lord to come back in the second coming, but also waiting on the Lord of what He's doing in your life. You're going to spend your whole life waiting. You might as well learn it now. And let your life be ripe with the things of God before you think, oh, now it's time for me to have it. And you know what? God will take care of it and bless it. So I hope that this night, just like when I was a student, and I was in my local church, far smaller than our church, and I was in that second floor room, and God was using people to speak to me, and I absorbed that in my heart and made a difference. I hope that in Jersey Village and Memorial and at the Hub, that God will do the same thing in your life. I'm so honored to be your pastor, and I want you to know that I love you and I care for you, and you just trust the Lord and you wait on Him, and God will do great things.